11 on the 10th of August. It's been a few days since we've been able to cut anything. Finally got going after, well, not as much rain as we feared actually over the weekend. The forecast was looking pretty dire for Saturday and Sunday. We got away with about 3 mil over the whole weekend, so that wasn't too bad at all. A few showers and bits of drizzle around yesterday. Thought we might be able to get going in the afternoon, but the moisture just wouldn't come down. It remained about 19 and a half pretty much all day. But got going today. It was just under 18 when we started. That was just after lunch, about 2 o'clock. Then it's fallen down to I think the lowest we've been is 15.7, 15.8, something like that. And then it's just starting to creep back up again now. We're running at just over 16, something like that. This is a variety of wheat which we're growing for seed. This is Insitor, which is a feeding wheat. So this is a wheat not to make bread particularly, or biscuits, but this is to go into animal feed. For poultry, pigs, that sort of thing, that sort of ration. It's a field called Shales. It's a funny field. We've got where Gord's carting from now, just the other side of him, we've got some real heavy clay soil, which actually we planted a wild bird seed plot on. That's a mixture of sunflowers, millet, maize, radish, phacelia, buckwheat, some oats, some rye. A bit of kale to see if it will go through for a second year. We won't harvest that at all. It's lovely and green, if you can imagine that down there. That will be just left for the seeds to be eaten, or some sunflowers as well, if I mention those. Just left to ripen off naturally. That will provide winter bird seed, winter bird food for our farmland bird species. So we'll get lots of linnets, blue tits probably feeding on there, dunnocks, some goldfinches probably, bit of all sorts really. We're doing quite well with farmland birds at the moment. So it's going along quite well. It's still dry enough. The dust is just sort of hanging around still. You can see on the header where the reel is just bringing the grain on. It's just sort of flopping onto the belt. We've got the wheels down, so we're in a rigid mode with a header on the wheels. That's to enable us to have a much taller stubble. These crops are pretty tall this year. The way the season grew, it was very cold in April. We didn't want to put too much growth regulation on them to try and shorten the straw, because we didn't want to stress the crops out. We didn't really know how much they were going to grow, but then when it started raining in May, they all sort of shot off, and it was a bit too late for some growth regulation then. So they are a little bit taller than we would normally like them to be, but they are standing up really, really well. So that's pretty good. But it does mean that there's an awful lot of straw for the combine to cope with. I remember a lecturer at college telling me it was something called MOG. John Wibley, I think it was, who actually wrote a really good book on cereal husbandry. MOG being material other than grain. So by raising the cutter bar, leaving a taller stubble, we're actually asking the combine to do less separation of straw and grain, which is enabling us to harvest a little bit quicker, have some slightly lower losses, and when it gets a little bit damper at night, means we can keep going because we just haven't got so much bulk going through the combine. Hopefully that steering will kick in. There we go. Yeah, so we have got probably another hour or so to finish this field tonight. That'll be good. Try and get it done if we can. Then we can move tomorrow morning onto a second block of the Insitor to try and if we can move in the morning when it's damp, then that obviously just saves a little bit of combining time. A little bit of a wet patch in the middle there that hasn't survived over the winter. But on on the whole, yields are holding up quite nicely actually. Pretty pleased with this as a seed crop. Yes, we're having to dry it a little bit, but it's good to be going again. So hopefully we've got a good run of weather. Forecast looks pretty decent for about a week. Let's hope it's right. Let's hope it lasts for 2 weeks, and then we'll be able to crack on. But that's where we are as of today.